everybody. I am Hoardergamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you're all doing well. This is a earlier episode, and you know what they say, the early hoard gets the worm. No one really says that. Besides, I don't really want a worm. I'm not sure what I'd do with it if I had one. But let's not even worry about worms. Let us worry about our first review. Venom, number 20. This is a very fun issue for a very complicated series. Basically, Eddie Brock went to a limbo world. And you find out that Eddie is all these different versions throughout time and space. There's like Empirix, there's Bedlam, all these different versions of Eddie. And in this issue, basically, he brings himself back to life as the first human symbiote. And what that means is he can actually like stitch together his bones and like reattach muscle and everything like that. He actually goes and opens this massive door, and this person says no human being could do that. Well, Eddie does it, but it's similar to like if you've seen Ghost in the Shell, where they have to like use their crazy strength and you see them almost like tearing themselves apart to do something. It's like that. And he basically wills himself to rebuild himself after that. Then there's this insane scene where he escapes this lab that the Life Foundation was running. And he goes naked and stops someone on a motorcycle. And basically does the whole Terminator thing without even like using the exact dialogue. He's like, I need your jacket and I need your cycle. And then he notices that person is going to do like some graffiti. They had white paint in paint cans that they were carrying on the like in a box, and he notices that, and he has the kid go and spray a spider on the back of his leather jacket. So now Eddie looks again like Venom. So Eddie's on this motorcycle, fights a motorcycle gang that the Life Foundation is paying to keep, well, actually, I'm sorry. The Life Foundation owns the town. Bedlam, a version of Eddie, a monstrous red Hulk-like version, not Red Hulk, but hulking-like and red, is hiding out in this town. And this biker gang is keeping him, like, under wraps while he, like, heals and stuff. And we're all setting up a giant battle between Eddie and Bedlam. And Misplaced, it is great to see you. How you doing, Misplaced? It's really good. It's really good. L. Ewing is one of my favorite comic book writers. I will say, though, it's complicated. It's a very complicated story. Like I told you, a lot of the characters in like the last two arcs of Venom have been Eddie. Again, like different points at time and space. So once you wrap your head around that, and then you realize it's basically like two forces, Eddie Brock and his son Dylan Brock. So things start to make sense then when you look at that. But yeah, I recommend Venom. Venom is one of my favorite comic books, actually. Ever since Donny Cates took over back in 2018, and I believe his run was 2018 through 2022, some part of 2022, I think. And then Ram V. Oh my God, I'm not even thinking here. Ram V and L. Ewing took over after Donny Cates. And that's when Donny Cates went to Hulk. But yeah, Venom, one of my favorite current comic books. And one thing I always felt about Venom in the very early years, a friend of mine actually said this first, but I agree with him. Venom was an amazing looking outfit in need of a great and amazing character. And I really believe that Donny Cates did that. And now L. Ewing is doing that. And before him, Ram V was doing it. So it's a little complicated because it was technically Ram V and L. Ewing, but Ram V has credits on a lot of the issues. So I believe it's like a collaboration, but it was kind of like, for a while, a number of issues were Ram V's. But yeah, Venom number 20 is really good. And the next issue should be like a massive battle between Bedlam and Eddie Brock as the human symbiote Venom. So it should be good. It should be pretty awesome. Okay, everybody, that was our first comic book review. And in case, again, you didn't see the cover, Venom number 20. If I can, I like to have the physical covers for the books I'm reviewing rather than have them on the side. I know there's some symmetry that created, but I also felt it was too much clutter, especially if you're looking at underneath me, where we're going to have like some, toys we're going to talk about later. So next up, we're talking about video games, everybody. And Monday and Tuesday were really, really big in the video game community because Diablo 4 is officially released. As of 6 p.m. on Monday night, Diablo 3, at least in the Central Time Zone, was available. Like, stores could sell it at 6 p.m. GameStop was. I don't know if everyone was tuned into it. I don't know if, like, Target and Walmart knew about it. But, like, GameStop was selling it, and you could actually download it and play it at 6 p.m. on Monday, at least in the Central Time Zone. And the official release date was June 6th of this year. So, technically, it was yesterday. So, now, everyone is busy playing Diablo 4. And let me tell you, it was not only worth the wait, it is going to be a Game of the Year contender. And that is not just my love of the series. Like, to anyone that doesn't know, I've been playing Diablo 3. I wish I could say PC. I apologize, I'm what they call a console peasant. I was playing on console since like 2013, I believe it was, on the 360 and PS3. So that time period. And then I really got into the game around 2016 when it hit with an awesome port for PS4 and Xbox One. And I put in hundreds of hours into Diablo 3. I will definitely be putting hundreds of hours into Diablo 4. I absolutely love it. The story is now a huge part of the game, and it's interesting. It's not just like moving pieces on a map to have things happen. And at first you're kind of like, oh, I'm chasing somebody. Okay, and it just seems like this constant chase. But then you realize it's basically going and taking little beats and motifs and stuff from Diablo 2. So that's interesting. It's also very interesting that your character is called the Wanderer, because there is a incredibly interesting character called the Dark Wanderer in Diablo 2. Also, I currently get the vibe that neither Lilith or Inarius is good. Without spoiling anything, I believe it's Reverend Mother Prava, played amazingly by Deborah Wilson, who's also going to be Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and was Seer in the most recent Star Wars Jedi games. She basically says, don't worry, it's going to be okay when it comes to the time to punish a holy knight. And she basically, allays your fears like, oh, okay, he's going to be fine. This knight is going to be good. It's going to be okay. Well, you find out in the game about an hour or two later as you're playing the story campaign what the punishment was. And it totally alters the way you look at the character of Reverend Mother Prava. The whole game does that. It's incredibly dark. And the whole cartoony aspect of 3 is gone. It's stark now. It's a darker, more realistic. Some of the best graphics. I mean, it definitely looks like a PS5 or Series X game. Also, looks great on console and PC. Very impressive. Very impressive. A number of reviewers were like, hey, it doesn't, remake the wheel. It doesn't set the ARPG world on fire by upending it. But what it does with a giant explorable open world, and it is an open world. I've gone from region to region. The third, was it 2 or 3 regions? I'm not done with the game yet. And it's like seamless. You're just moving from one area to another, and visually it makes sense. Like if you're going from a mountainous, snowy area, you don't just immediately end up in an area that looks like Scotland. It slowly, kind of like the snow, the ice, all that sort kind of recedes slowly. And then you're in like Scotland, which is their version of Scotland. I said Scotland's yesterday too on stream. It was hilarious. But also Scotland, I have a special connection there because I'm playing a druid, and you make like a blessing or a friendship with animal spirits. That's something that the druid does, that class. But yeah, that's where I am right now. Scotland, I just defeated Act 2, and it's the longest launch game that Diablo has released. Diablo 2 and 3 were each 4 acts, and then they each had an expansion. Wow, I don't want to ruin the game, like, you know, it's a bit of a spoiler if I say how many acts this is. I will just say this is longer than Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 if you're looking at how many acts it is. Combat is awesome. However, I do have some things I do want to say about the game. Certain things I think would be helpful. Certain things a lot of people have been hoping for and want to have happen with Diablo 4. And I'd say there's a good chance of some of these. A dedicated gem bag. So, you get these gems. They're like chipped versions of like rubies, emeralds, all sorts of gems, even like a chipped skull. Okay? And they all have different features depending if you put them into jewelry, armor, or weapons. The issue is it takes up your very limited inventory, and you constantly have to go back to town and go to your stash and drop these gems off. Diablo 3 had a dedicated gem bag. So all it would do is be like, this one type of gem, it took up space. But it was like a dedicated bag, and like maybe you'd have like 6 or 7 things to drop off rather than all these gems. And every permutation of gem, every better version of gem has its own space in your inventory, and it just takes up too much space. Diablo is excellent, and you've played it now about 4 or 5 hours, Mike. So what do you think? What do you think, Mike? It's really great misplaced. It's really well done. And like the RPG elements, I say they're closer to something like Dragon Age or Witcher. Like they're a lot more interesting. The side missions are lengthy. Some side missions have like multiple phases to them. I was shocked because I did one that I thought would be 5 minutes, and it was damn near a half hour. And there's a lot of side missions. They're not all that long, but just about all of them are longer than what they had as side missions called bounties in Diablo 3. Okay, so gem bag, dedicated gem bag, that's the first thing. I want to make sure I said gem, not a gym bag. There's no gym in Sanctuary. Your gym is fighting enemies, killing demons and vampires and, you know, wild creatures. That is your gym. That's how you work out in Sanctuary. Inventory. So an inventory / currently equipped switcher. So when you look at your inventory, you're immediately in your inventory items, the ones that are in your inventory. However, there's no simple button press or movement that you make that instantly brings you to the items you already have equipped on your body. Like your armor, your weapons, all those things. You kind of have to like goof around a bit with it. Now I think that's because on PC you had a mouse and you just click, but on console it feels weird. And Xbox and Michael there in chat, I almost said the other name he uses on Twitch. He agrees with me that it should be a more simple, easier thing. Because like there are times where like you'll want to get this one little box, like I wanted to look at my profile, and it took me like 30-40 seconds to get the icon to that place. So that's just a weird thing. Does it ruin the game? No, of course not. But like it's goofy, you know, to have one button that takes us to inventory, one that takes us to armor, and then we like move between the two by hitting a button, not by pushing down or pushing up all, you know, like 5 times. Okay. Now, this I have dear to me because I play a druid. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, tell me to get good, that's fine. I think the druid needs to be buffed. I do. I really do, especially if you're going with a werewolf class. So I am playing a werewolf druid. So I have a set of 2 wolves with me. I can turn into a werewolf. I can do something called shred. I can do, I believe it's called rabies, where I can bite an enemy and give them poison damage. And I tried doing a stronghold solo on level 1 difficulty. When you start the game, there's 2 difficulties, veteran and level 1. And even on level 1 difficulty, I was incredibly squishy. Like, and then a lot of it was me waiting 45 seconds to get my shred on. That's my ultimate. So I was waiting like 45 seconds to get that to happen. Because basically you're running around hitting enemies 13 times and they can't stop you. And I have it set up so I actually get healed when I shred. So, but yeah, I really think they should think about buffing the druid. One thing that would be really helpful is the druid's spirit, which is what you spend to use powerful abilities, that does not automatically refill. It only refills when you hit an enemy. And that makes it really difficult. There's things you're waiting on. Beyond shred, there's another attack. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But like, it makes it a lot more difficult. Most of the other classes have a currency that you spend, like spirit, that you just get refilled. That you don't have to hit enemies in order to get it. It's just constantly, like mana for a sorcerer, is slowly getting refilled. That would be helpful. Otherwise, a buff to certain abilities for the werewolf. Right now, I don't know how the werewolf seems viable, and I've unlocked all the blessings. All the different animal blessings, and I've chosen all the ones that benefit a werewolf class. So, I don't know, you know? It seems easier when I play with someone else. So that might be what I have to do for a lot of this stuff. Also, strongholds are supposed to be a challenge. But man, the level of challenge it was for me was crazy. I got through it. Hoarder is a stronghold run by vampires. And you have to do certain objectives and kill a ton of vampires. And then there's a challenging, unique vampire boss. Unique for me, at least, because I've done a number of dungeons and a number of story missions. I'm currently starting Act 3, and I've not fought that boss. And it was really intense. And you start out, like, if you're level 37, which I was, Hoarder enemies are level 39. And unlike Marvel's Avengers, an enemy being 1 or 2 levels ahead of you is a big deal. That's a big deal in this game. So, and then I think the boss was 3 levels above. I think the boss was 40. He might have been 39, but I thought he was 40. So that was challenging as heck, especially doing a werewolf class, druid werewolf. Okay, and this is something else that Mr. Michael Ortega and I agree on. Always on mic setting when playing with friends. So, once you're playing with a friend, you have to go into social and push in, at least on the PlayStation, on the R stick in order to talk to somebody with in-game chat. Diablo 4 actually has in-game chat outside of like what PlayStation has as chat and everything like that. But this is the issue. If you get disconnected from somebody, if they leave your party and come back 10 minutes later, anyone else joins the party, you always need to opt into that. So in settings, it'd be nice if they had like an opt-in option where the mic is always on when to connect with someone considered a friend. You know, when it's someone that's friended that you're playing with. I can understand that someone random, as far as I know, someone random trying to come in, you get a notification and it's like, yes or no, do you want to play with said person? But yeah, you probably wouldn't want a random person like on mics. I get that. That's fine. But for friends, I think it should be there. Now, anyone else that's played, sorry, anyone else that has played Diablo 4, what changes would you recommend? What things do you want that are different? And while I wait for chat to put that in, some really cool news. More Diablo 4 news came out on Monday. Basically, we found out they are not working on one huge expansion for Diablo 4. And by huge expansion, I'm talking about like a new area, new villains, like basically probably a new region in the game. Not just one, two. So they've been working on the first expansion for a little bit already. And they basically started the beginning work on the second expansion. Plus, the first season of the game will be launching anywhere between July 1st and July 15th. Basically, it's contingent on how long it takes to actually do the season, the elements of it, to like launch it, as well as how long it takes everybody to get through the campaign. They want everyone through the campaign before the season, so they want everyone to have that chance. And if you're worried about Diablo 4 not selling well and them having to cancel, a sad like kind of Marvel's Avengers thing where we were like every month wondering if it's going to keep going, although it did make it over 2 years, which is, you know, that's cool. You don't have to worry about that right now for Diablo 4. It is the fastest selling game, not for Diablo, but from Blizzard. So fastest selling than any of the expansions for World of Warcraft, faster than any of the previous Diablo games. It is selling incredibly well. So, again, any ideas or any things you would do to change Diablo 4? Like, just off the top of my head, I came up with those 3 or 4 things earlier, but like, I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more. Again, huge feature that in Diablo 2 would have been really nice. Being able to go to the very front of a dungeon instantly, rather than having to walk back or go all the way to your hub. It's very nice that Diablo 4 has that. I very much appreciate that. Yeah, Diablo 3 even had something like that. Some of the dungeons would have like a monolith, and you'd approach it, and it would be like warp back to beginning of dungeon. And that was an option. Not every dungeon, but certain ones. But like the fact that Diablo 2 Resurrected doesn't have that is crazy. It's hard to get used to. It's hard to get used to. But yeah, if you're a fan of action RPGs and you want a little bit more RPG in your action, such as like really great story and characters, and like I said, a little bit of a Dragon Age / Witcher vibe, then I think that Diablo 4 is definitely for you, and they plan on supporting it for a long time. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the microtransactions. They are all cosmetic, but they are not inexpensive. One of the things I would recommend first is to see the class you like, play through that class, level up, try to get through the campaign, and see the skin you want. There might be a version of that you can earn in game. A lot of the ones you're paying for have certain like extra features, visual features, like certain like details that set it off a little bit apart, or certain like coloring or an actual effect. Like the Drowned actually had this cool like running water effect that looks like something off of one of the Pirates of the Caribbean films. So just something to keep in mind. And we're not really done with Diablo news. We're done with games, but now it is time for us to toy around, everybody. I hope you're all ready to toy around, because I am. I love this, by the way. Bank robber Joker. Bank robber Joker from Dark Knight. From the first 6 minutes of the film. Extremely iconic. Brought to mind like a lot of like 70s villain versus cop drama films. Heat. Definitely brought to mind Heat. Really great opening of the film. And there's Heath Ledger as the Joker. But it's not just that. Look at that. You get an extra head. So he's got the mask. He's got the clown mask. He probably has the bag of money and an automatic rifle, I think is what he was carrying. I'm trying to remember what he had exactly. And then I'll have to do this. No. I killed the bus driver. Okay. But yeah, I really like this figure. I think this is awesome. It is, as far as I know, pre-orders aren't live for it yet. They just did a full announcement of it today. So yeah, that's really cool. The Dark Knight Joker is currently available. There's like a series, I think, of 4 Dark Knight and is it all Dark Knight or all Batman Begins too? I think it's Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises figures, because I think they all go together and they build Bane, if I remember correctly. And I believe it's Batman, Scarecrow, Joker, and I'm trying to think who else. Might be Catwoman. I'm not sure, but it's like 4 characters. Okay, so let me put Joker back in Arkham Asylum. Actually, Police Lockup. I think in Dark Knight it was just Police Lockup. Look at this beauty. Okay, so I'm going to drop the price for you and then tell you that this is going gangbusters. Okay? G.I. Joe Classified Firefly. If you're a child of the 80s like I am, this was a really cool toy. It was the G.I. Joe helicopter. And it came with the pilot Wild Bill. And this right here, that's an actual 6-inch Wild Bill figure. So that helicopter is 2.5 feet long. It is massive. If you go to the HasbroPulse.com, you can see, I think they have 20 or 30 some pictures of this helicopter and its accessories. It is insane what it comes with. The level of detail is completely absurd. And yes, it is $270. They are like, wow, that's a lot of money. They've already sold 10,000 of them. So when they do a HasLab, whether it's going to be G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, whatever it is, they have to sell a minimum amount in order to actually make the item. And they needed to do 10,000 in order to do Firefly with Wild Bill. They have, in less than a day, I believe, or in one day, they hit that quota of 10,000. So now when they hit like 12 or 13,000, they'll keep adding 6-inch action figures. And I think they're adding like up to 2 or 3 more. So I think it looks amazing. I am not the biggest fan of like collecting the G.I. Joe stuff, though. More so the Cobra stuff. But if you are a G.I. Joe fan, this is awesome. And I would have had to do like 20 or 30 pictures and build an entire stream just around this item to do it justice, for you to see everything it comes with and the insane level of detail that the G.I. Joe Classified Firefly has. I'll just say Yo Joe, and if you want to check it out, it's exclusive. I think it's for like 30 days or so. HasbroPulse.com. You can pre-order it. Okay. let me remove this here. And when I said we weren't done with Diablo news, McFarlane Toys today had a big announcement. They are doing toys for World of Warcraft and Diablo, starting with Diablo 4 action figures this fall. Now, this is awesome, and I've actually mentioned either on this show or on my stream that I wanted McFarlane to do toys because right now all they have are incredibly beautiful but absurdly expensive statues of Inarius and Lilith. And like, I thought the Lilith statue was crazily expensive at like $600. Then they show Inarius, and that's almost twice as much. I'm like, yeah, that's reasonable for the average fan to collect. So basically, if we're looking at 6-inch figures of Lilith and Inarius, we're looking at $20 to $25 with McFarlane, or we're looking at about $40 if it's a 12-inch figure. Like if it's more like an inexpensive statue, like they've been doing for a number of the DC characters, then it would be in the $40 range. A far cry from $600 to $1,100. Although, to be fair, these are gorgeous statues, and they're like 25 inches tall. They're insane. They are what you would call like a set piece of a collection. That's what these statues are. But I love the Lilith one. I like Inarius. I can't see it being twice the price of Lilith. But like, the Lilith one's amazing. That one's just a gorgeous statue. So, yeah, that was pretty much all the toy news, but I thought that was pretty awesome that McFarlane is going to be doing World of Warcraft and Diablo toys. Actually, they're going to be doing a whole line of different Blizzard toys, but the first are going to be Diablo 4 this fall. So, that's something cool to look forward to. My hope right now, I'm a little worried because when they did Lost, they had some really goofy figures in their first lineup of 6 figures. I would like Inarius, of course. I would like Loref Nar. He's like an NPC, but he's also our guide through a lot of the game and kind of sets up where we're supposed to go in certain places and then heads off there himself and we join him later type of thing. So, Inarius, Loref Nar, Lilith, a character I don't know if I should save a name because it's a spoiler, but there's someone accompanying Lilith. I'd like that figure. And then I don't see, that's where it gets difficult, right? Are they going to actually start with these cool characters? Or is it going to be like Druid, Barbarian, Rogue? Are they going to satisfy that fantasy first? Or are they going to do a little bit of both? On the average, a line from McFarlane's about 4 or 6 figures at a time. So I really hope we get Inarius and Lilith in the first set, though. Or maybe it'll just be Lilith in the first set and then Inarius in the second. I can't see how these wouldn't be popular. The sculpts are going to be amazing, and I'll be honest, the posability may not be amazing. Maybe anything but amazing. But the sculpts are going to be fantastic, and it'll be nice to have an affordable version of World of Warcraft and Diablo characters with a great amount of detail. Okay, so now we are actually done toying around. We are going to look, everybody, at the future. The future of comics all the way to 1 week from today. Okay, this first one could be a bit of a spoiler, but if you've seen any of the trailers, you probably know about the character. Spider-Man India, #1. So if you saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, you might have really liked this character. And a 4-issue miniseries starts next Wednesday from Marvel Comics. So that's insane timing, isn't it? Isn't that wild? Well, anyway, Spider-Man India #1 comes out then next Wednesday. And it's like a version of Peter Parker, and a lot of interesting elements that you saw in the... Well, I actually don't know what's going to carry over from the film and what is, you know, solidly in the comic book series. But yes, it's a 4-issue series, and there's the first cover right there. Let me web that up here. Next up, we have Green Lantern #2. I don't think I'll be reviewing this, maybe, but I did review issue 1, so I kind of doubt it. It was really great, though. Issue 1 was a great take on the character. Jeremy Adams did a really awesome job. He was one of the Flash writer recently, and you basically have Sinestro on Earth, because Earth is quarantined and all these people are on it, and basically the Guardians and Oa decided that, and Hal Jordan and the other Green Lanterns, I believe all of them are just quarantined to Earth, but Sinestro's there as well. And in the first issue, you just saw a brief scene of Sinestro having a drink in a bar, wearing a hoodie. And for the synopsis for this issue, it talks about how, like, he's skulking in the background, getting ready to strike. So that sounded really neat. And like I said, I loved issue 1. So I'm excited for issue 2. And I think Jeremy Adams is going to be doing a really good job on this run of Green Lantern. I'm going to quarantine that cover right now. I just did. And this, everybody. This could be super cool. It's going to be very, very different. Black Panther #1. And I know what you're thinking. In the last 10 years, Black Panther #1, that's happened like 2 or 3 times. Now, Black Panther is no longer the king of Wakanda, and he's kind of secluded, almost in hiding, and it sounds like he's going to become like a street-level hero in one of the cities named after his father that's in Wakanda. It's supposed to be a whole new imagining, a whole new concept for Black Panther. So it's not going to be like it alters the world he lives in and everything like that, except he's kind of in a new locale and he has kind of a new duty. So it sounds more like he's almost going to be like a Daredevil level hero, basically fighting like crime and gangs and stuff that are in this older city that was named after his father. So I think it sounds really cool. I believe it's Eve Ewing. Eve Ewing is writing it. And yeah, I definitely want to check that out. I absolutely love this variant cover. So this is the cover I wanted to show everybody. But yes, there's probably a 90% chance I will review Black Panther 1 next week. I thought the concept's exciting, especially because the storyline before this was complicated and political, and if you missed a few issues, you were kind of lost. And it was very good, don't get me wrong. It was excellent. But I look forward to a refreshing and new take on Black Panther. I think the concept could go really well with it. So I'll definitely check out issue 1. I believe the name of the city is Birnin T'Chaka. I believe Birnin T'Chaka is a less futuristic city on like the outskirts of Wakanda, I believe. And it sounds like the leaders of Wakanda haven't paid as much attention to it, and it's kind of fallen into a little bit of disuse. That's what it sounds like anyway. Okay, everybody. We are almost done with tonight's episode, but we have another comic book to review. A little character by the name of Batman. Batman 136. This is also Legacy issue 901. Batman 136 is exciting for one main reason. It's a jump-on point. So Chip Zdarsky's take on Batman has been one of the best in years. It has been so good. The first arc, Failsafe, was, to me, one of my favorites. In 6 issues, a threat is created and explained that could just level not just Batman, but the Justice League. A truly frightening enemy. And, as Bruce mentions in this issue, it's still out there somewhere. Don't worry, there was a very satisfying ending, but there's reasons why it could still be out there somewhere. So, anyway, Bruce was in an alternate version, a multiverse of Earth, and there was an enemy there named the Red Mask, and that was a 6-issue story arc right before this one. He is back now, and the Bat family's worried about him, and they actually like throw a little party, and they like have almost like an indoor party / picnic, having tons of food and everything, and Batman lets his cowl down and actually appreciates what they're doing on the outside. But of course, on the inside, it's the whole idea that Bruce is hurt. Bruce is scared. Bruce is all these things, but Batman can't be those things. And it's a little complicated, but Batman created something called Zur-En-Arrh in his mind, and Zur-En-Arrh was there to stop Batman if he ever is thought to have killed somebody. And that ties into Failsafe, actually, too. But it seems that Zur-En-Arrh is not completely locked away. And there's this amazing scene, too, where Batman finds out that Penguin's not dead. Because everything involving Failsafe had to do with the idea that Batman killed Penguin. And Catwoman knew that Penguin was alive. And Bruce does not take it well when he finds out that Selina knew this and didn't tell him. Because that would have basically been a way for him to stop the horror that Failsafe caused. So that was a great reveal. That was really good. Plus, there is a awesome extra comic. It's about 10 pages or so. So you get like the regular 20, 22-page story, and then roughly a 10-pager after, maybe it's 8. And it's about the creation of Failsafe. And I don't want to ruin that for anybody, because it's wild. It's really neat. But yeah, this is a great jumping on point. It's interesting to see a vulnerable Bruce and a bulletproof Batman. I really like that. It's an interesting dichotomy. Mr. Terrific shows up. He helps Bruce early on. So that was neat. Oh, and Bruce tangles with the Penguin's kids. And apparently his son or whatever is this amazing fighter. Like, he's intense. So that'll be interesting to get some background on that. Addison is his daughter. The Penguin's daughter is Addison, and I can't recall the son's name. But yeah, a lot goes on in this issue. It's very good. And you can definitely feel a rift building between Selina Kyle and Bruce. So. And I'm stepping away from this even as, like, a huge Batman fan. It's really good, even like, you know, like I can be objective when I look at a Batman book. Trust me. But everybody, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Whether you watched live or you watch at your leisure on this beauteous thing, YouTube, thank you very much. If you like it, you know, sub. That'd be cool. That'd be neat. Or, you know, even tell like a friend. Or maybe if you hated this, if you disliked this, tell an enemy. You know, make their life a little bit worse. Okay, so you can catch me on twitch.tv/Hoardergamer. Even with all the wackiness at Twitch, I'm still there. I'm doing a lot of Diablo. In fact, right now, I don't think I'll be streaming any game except Diablo 4 until like late June. Or mid to late June, I think it is, when Final Fantasy 16 comes out. because those are like the two games that really excite me right now. So, also, Doom Squad Gaming, a number of us will be playing Diablo 4 and streaming it, so you'll be able to check us out. So, not just me, but also members of Doom Squad Gaming. And members of Doom Squad Gaming will be doing a Summer Game Fest live watch conversation type thing on Cute Little Chaos Kitty's Twitch channel tomorrow. So you'll see me, Flux, Cute Little Chaos Kitty, I believe Hero Mentor, and possibly one or two other people talking about the Summer Game Fest, the actual show, not like the entire 2 or 3 day thing. There's like a specific show they're going to have. Probably it's like a couple hours, I'm guessing. So you'll be able to check that out, and that should be really cool too. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great whatever time it is that you're watching this. See you later. Bye-bye.